Welcome to the Crystal Self-Healer Podcast. I'm Carissa Weaver. On this podcast, we blend the magic of crystals with the science of psychology to help you break free from chaos, ditch the overwhelm, and master your emotions so you can have more energy, get more done, and feel better every day. Get ready to unlock your intuition and restore your true power as we cover how you can transform your life using crystals and self-awareness. Are you ready to get started? All right, let's go. If you're triggered by the current political climate and not finding spiritual alignment, you're probably misinterpreting spiritual laws. All around, we're seeing the clashes of ideologies about who should belong where. Governments and political parties are drafting rules and legislation to further the results of their vision, leaving living, breathing people to be treated as if they're chattel in a system designed to keep them not as people, but as heads to be counted and moved around as need be. Everyone on this earth has a divine right to sovereignty, a sense of belonging, self-safety, and security in their physical and energetic experience. When the man-made ideologies clash with spiritual laws, it impacts the collective energy in a negative way, leaving no one untouched. Solely raising your energy doesn't fix everything. If you've been focusing on internal work but still wonder why nothing is changing, this episode will show you how to identify where you can be part of the solution. By the end, you'll know why misinterpreting spiritual law hurts not only those around you, but how you can overcome this pitfall of the human experience. Have you ever wondered how someone can hold spirituality while also advocating against what seems to be in the highest good for them or for the collective? Ideologies and belief structures clash around us all the time, and the worst thing we can do is turn a blind eye to inequity and injustice. There's a segment of the spiritual self-help space that wants to tell you it's your responsibility to focus on you and your inner peace, to raise your own vibration, to quell the chaos within in order to bring about a more peaceful outer experience. What's going on here is two spiritual laws that are being weaponized to create a vacuum of accountability. The law of mentalism is being used to rightly shine light on how your reality is shaped by your thoughts. Additionally, the spiritual law of personal responsibility is being dangled in your face as if it's solely yours to navigate and only pertains to you and your experience. There is a line that this advice violates. That is the law of divine oneness. In our humanness, our desire for societal order, we create rules and hold expectations that everyone is then subject to follow. Whether those rules in and of themselves are for the highest good is irrelevant. This is where inequity and injustice resides. There is no amount of using the law of mentalism or law of personal responsibility that can erase the ill intent or ill will of a system meant to subjugate some or all people within it. When we choose to only consider ourselves, we can often forget that we are part of the whole, that our actions have consequences not only felt by us, but by others as well. The law of divine oneness requires that we hold awareness of the micro and the macro at the same time, that the harm we do to others is also the harm we do to ourselves. So when there are laws or rules created in our human societal orders, we are hurting ourselves when we turn away from the suffering of the collective. This topic reminds me of the final episodes of Seinfeld, where the gang is imprisoned for being bystanders and failing to help someone who is the victim of a crime. Psychologists have studied the bystander effect and determined that there are subconscious measures done by those watching to determine whether they should or could intervene. These assessments include whether they believe they can make a difference and whether they perceive they have the skills or time to participate. These material considerations are a jumping off point, but I think they miss the mark. There is an undercurrent that needs to be addressed here, that there is a time and a place when personal responsibility goes outside your solo practice. I'm talking to those who have chosen to use focusing on their own vibe as a justification to turn a blind eye to harm and injustice around them. There is a point at which the use of the framing that chaos around you is a reflection of the chaos within you goes too far to the other side and becomes hurtful. This is when you choose non-engagement because you've been sold a version of spirituality that says disengagement is the enlightened path. Focusing solely on your own inner chaos or vibe, especially when it's what an outside voice is telling you to focus on in isolation, is the spiritual self-help version of pick yourself up by your bootstraps. That's not cool. At any point, you're experiencing your life through a lens. Everything old becomes new again as you see your life through the lens of your experience, acquired knowledge, growth, and alignment. I'm going to offer working with Astrophyllite to understand whether you're in any one of the three categories that influence your ability to engage with chaos or harm in the collective. Astrophyllite supports your awareness so you can notice the patterns you're living and repeating. If you're experiencing utter chaos and you're moving from one fire to the next with no time to catch your breath or reflect, the stage is chaos. When you're in the stage of personal chaos, you really don't have the bandwidth to do anything but self-preservation. But recognizing the pattern arms you with the ability to shift into the growth stage. Astrophyllite supports alignment on multiple levels of experience: energetic, emotional, and physical. This stage, you may swing between chaos and growth or fall into the misinterpretation that all your growth is internal and not inclusive of your impact outside yourself. But here is where working with Astrophyllite packs its punch. By strengthening protection from external negative energies, it inspires you to accept your shadow self. This strength of being able to accept yourself as a whole within a collective is what creates the aligned stage. When you feel safe and whole within your own experiences, you no longer feel the need to lash out at others or judge them for where they don't measure up to the man-made rules of our society. This places you in the space to take an inspired, active role in ushering in the highest good. I think there's a certain amount of trauma and fear baked into the focus on yourself advice. This can influence whether you choose to not see how your actions or practices may confound or amplify the inequity that creates the chaos. All of us are in one of the categories of engagement, yet there is an exploitive nature within some that often results from not having fully embraced their own shadow self, who will then prey on those who are in chaos or wavering between growth and chaos. But remember this, there is always enough to go around. Abundance is not capped. Belonging is not for someone else to determine. Inner focus may be what you need if you're in constant fight or flight. Nothing erases your personal responsibility. No one can do for you what you aren't willing to do for yourself. However, when it comes to the tyrannical beliefs of those who actively other others, you are not immune, because someday that leopard will come to eat your face. If you aren't willing to stand for the highest good that operates on the spiritual laws of autonomy, sovereignty, and collective oneness, who will stand for you when you are in the line of fire? If you're ready to start living life in a more aligned state, the Crystal Self-Healer Members Portal was designed to give you all the support you need as you heal and balance your energy, dismantle the stories and beliefs that keep you second-guessing yourself, while you deepen and master your skills using crystals and tarot. Inside the portal, you'll find healing sessions to help you process emotions, rituals to anchor and direct energy, and ongoing support when you feel stuck. With courses, workshops, and activations that foster mastery and spiritual alignment, everything inside the portal is there to help you recognize and interrupt the patterns and cycles that keep repeating so you can move forward with more ease and alignment. Visit my website, 3charmedgems.com, or click the link in the show notes to learn more and join me. Now is the time to stop absorbing the world's chaos and start moving into spiritual integrity. The Crystal Self-Healer Members Portal is where that shift begins. Find your clarity and come home to yourself. Today's episode has been brought to you by Astrophyllite and the Bystander effect. May we all step into our power as parts of the whole to usher in the highest good for all. Blessed be, my friends. All right, my friends, that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you for joining me here today on the Crystal Self-Healer podcast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review, and take the What Crystal is Best for You quiz linked in the show notes. Join me again next week as we continue to demystify crystals, how your brain works, and how you can use them so you can have more energy, get more done, and feel better every day.